Um, let's see if there's a direct link. Oh, yep, there is. I'll send it to you on Discord.
Fantastic. And I will tell everyone when we're live.
We are live.
Well, yeah, I'll tell them though. They don't know that yet. Maybe they do. Maybe they were like camping. All right, so posted on Blue Sky, posted on Twitter, and then posted in the Discord. Post. Hi everyone who's filtering in.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully people want to read with us, but the worst case scenario is we talk to each other and read to ourselves.
If they don't want to read with us, that's fine. We'll just read and then talk about the book, and then it'll be great anyway.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Because I can't wait to hear about your New Orleans trip too.
Yeah, I'll get to talk about that a little bit. Writing that down, so I have to write an article about it. And writing an article about that is hard because gotta get all your thoughts straight, and there's a lot that happens in New Orleans. In a good way, not in like whatever happens in New Orleans stays. Like, I'm not being weird about New Orleans.
It sounded pejorative in some way.
It's not. It's all majorative. Is that what we would say? Oh, you posted the Discord. Great. Yeah, it's majorative. But yeah, it's I don't know. Like, I think it's really hard to tell everything that happens in New Orleans because, and tell me if you disagree with this. I feel like there's like a different way of kind of being down in especially in New Orleans. I haven't been in a lot of Louisiana otherwise, although I did go to Boudreaux. I think it's Boudreaux. We met one of my friends from online, Jean Gaudreau.
Is that a city?
John Boudreaux from, yeah. Let's see.
It's definitely a last name. I don't know the city.
Let's see. So what is John's name is Gautreau. So I think it's Boudreaux.
Is it Gautreau or Gautreau?
It's probably Gautreau, to be honest with you. He's Cajun, I believe. Yeah, Boudreaux.
As people are.
Yes, Boudreaux is sort of south of New Orleans, a little closer to a little closer to Baton Rouge. But it's really nice.
I know pleasant. The Rouge.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, who wouldn't? But yeah, it's like it was really cool. We had a crawfish boil out there. So that was very different. But and John is a treat. He's at El Run Mexico on Twitter and probably Blue Sky at this point. So, yeah. Very, very, very nice person. Just could not have been a nicer and more welcoming person. I learned how crawfish boils work. That was exciting.
Horrifying.
I mean, horrifying. I did know how lobsters are cooked. So, but just talking to people about their craft, that was cool. That was neat.
Is the crawfish boil the craft?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, it's basically art. It's crazy. Like the level of attention and like intention they put into it is unbelievable. Where they're just like, yeah, we heat the water for like only 7 minutes and like cool it down. And I have this special thing that cools off the pot. And then like, here's the spice bag. I don't want to put it in too early, but like has to stay in. And then like, it's super interesting.
Yeah. The way that Cajuns go about things is sometimes adjacent to witchcraft.
Yeah. His girlfriend, Laura, was also, so they had a crawfish off. A boil off, if you will. It was like Bobby Flay, but in this case, they were both Bobby Flay versus each other, and
there was no world.
No, there was no world. It was just Joel. It was super tasty, but his girlfriend also cooked, and they basically you could vote for one or the other, and I told them I couldn't pick because the one had a better spicing and the one had a better texture, and I was like, I don't really know how to choose between that, but he did it more sort of like he and his friend did it more sort of they just kind of pulled it from their minds, and they knew what they knew, and they had done it before, and they've done it a million times. So they kind of like had a method. And she had a boil diary. And so every time she did a boil, she wrote down like a detailed version, like almost like a
Mm.
story. It's like almost narrative of what she did.
Yeah, it's
It
like a
was,
farmer's almanac.
yeah, it was fascinating. It was so interesting. And I know it's like it's not, it is horrifying if you do feel for the crawfish, but it was totally fascinating to watch. It was amazing. And like it's
So
just
is that
hmm?
what you're gonna write up? Is be like, and while you're in New Orleans, you just can't pass up having a good friend throw you a crawfish
Make sure
boil.
you know several people in New Orleans, at least 4 or 5. Turned out I
And
knew a lot of people.
I think May is like the month for crawfish
They're
boils. Like
not gonna
I think this is the end of it.
the veterans are going down in August, so
Yeah.
they won't be going out to a crawfish boil. I did
They
that
need to
mostly.
be going somewhere with air conditioning.
Correct. And I will be recommending a lot of those places. But yeah, basically it was like it was one of those things where Chris Curley, I don't know if you ever met my friend Chris. He's in Louisiana, but or in New Orleans. He'll probably, I don't know where how for how much longer, but like he's been there forever at this point. And he knows Sean, and he's like, "Do you want to go to this boil?" And it was one of those things where I was like, "Yeah, I definitely do." And I think it'll just kind of add sort of, I don't know if it'll even make it into the article, but it will add a I don't know, it adds a sort of atmosphere to it, getting to know people down there.
Mhm.
But it always felt like the days where it was like definitely slower paced than the Northeast, which is what didn't surprise me. But like in a very sort of like intentional and social way where like you'd be walking around with people and they'd be like, "Hey, let's pop in here. This is a really great place to get this kind of drink." And you'd sit and you'd talk for 30, 45 minutes. And then they'd be like, "Let's walk down this way. It's towards this other place." And like it was sort of like just this drawn out, slow day. And obviously, none of us were working. So that sort of, I mean, I was, but working was sort of like as loose as you could possibly make it with that assignment.
Mm.
Um, and so it really felt sort of like social and like, I guess if I was being serious about like privileging being with people as opposed to worrying about where you were going or what time it was or anything like that. And so it all kind of like flowed out and was like very loose and super fun. And I really kind of did the French Quarter. It was a blast. The one place I went that I probably will not, I'll include it, but I won't recommend they go, was the Museum of Death. I don't think they need to go to the
No,
Museum of
did I
Death.
not tell you about it?
You didn't tell me not to go.
If we talked about it, then I would tell you not to go. And if
I
you had
saw it.
asked me, I would have
I
told you
saw,
not to
well,
go.
it's fine. I needed to know. And I saw it's like 2 blocks from the hotel because the hotel's right in the French Quarter. And I was like,
Yeah.
well, I guess I'll see. And it's paid for. Like I'm getting reimbursed for it. It's not like I spent the $20 to get in, but you spend the $20 to get in and you see a lot of skulls, a lot of
Yeah. There's
dead bodies.
some of their like merchandise is like Nazi adjacent too. I don't know if you noticed
Oh,
that.
I didn't notice
But I
that.
didn't
That's
find that out till
cool.
after I went. But
Neat.
I thought it was gonna be more like the parts of it that I liked were like the Victorian like death ritual stuff, like the hair
Yes.
lockets and all that. Like that's cool. Like I
The
think that
death
there's an
masks, celebrity death
interesting
masks, I liked. I thought
I
that
think
was
there's
neat.
yeah, there's an interesting way to talk about death and have a museum dedicated to it without it really being like for the true crime podcast people and like
Yeah.
kind of like live leaks stuff. Like,
The live
it
leak stuff,
was
yeah. No, you're right. There was like a whole section on like what happens when, car crashes happen. And there's like a lot of pictures of people like smashed in cars. There was a picture of a decapitated 2-month-old. Like, this is
yeah.
stuff I didn't need to see. And
Yeah.
I was like, man, I don't. There was a stuffed version of an extinct lion. And I was like, boy, this just depresses me. Like, I don't really want to see this lion that was once alive and happy, and now we've run into extinction, just stuffed in this place, like badly taxidermied. So there's a lot not to like about the Museum of Death. One of the things also is you can buy, like, I guess they're in formaldehyde, like organs, like sheep eye and sheep brains. And
Mm,
guess what? I didn't buy those. Did not purchase.
yeah.
Did not
Mm-mm.
want those around my house. I didn't think they had a place here. Um,
No, I was, yeah, not impressed. It was like a place that Yeah, I went with a friend who lived in New Orleans who also hadn't been, and we were neither one of us were impressed. Thankfully, I was like a little bit tipsy.
Oh, that'll
Um,
help.
yeah, so
I went
as
like
you
right
are in the
after.
French Quarter.
Yeah, I went at like 11 a.m. Like I got a
No.
coffee and I was like, oh, I don't like this. Now, had I gone after I hung out with Chris and went to the tiki bar, then maybe I would have been a little more open to it. But it's okay. Um, yeah, there were a lot of bars that were really fun that I can suggest because people, Vietnam veterans, they like to relax, and then like a bunch of good restaurants, like all sorts of good stuff. Just I tried a vegetarian po' boy, which I really enjoyed. It was
Was it the place that's over by Museum of Death?
yeah, killer po' boys.
Yeah, did you get the sweet potato one?
I didn't, but my buddy Richard Normal, well, his handle online is Richard Normal, but Richard did, which is his real name, Richard, just not Richard Normal, but super nice guy, just a great see. There were honestly, I met someone there from who I met online initially in Twitter, but got to know a little better through the Podside community, and then there was Richard, who I knew that was Turducken Joe, and then uh Richard was there, and then Socks was there. Scott came down.
Really?
Yeah, Scott came down.
Oh,
And then like that Chris was there, who I know from college, and John was there, who I know from the internet. It was like Krista was like, "How many people do you know in New Orleans?" And I was like, "I probably could have like contacted 4 or 5 others if I had the time. Like it's unbelievable." But yeah, like he got that one because he's a vegetarian, and he let me have a bite, and I was blown away. I was kind
it
of
was
a
really
little
good.
jealous.
There's
Really
like a
good.
black-eyed pea pate or something on
Oh,
it, and I think
great.
greens, and I don't really
It's
remember
a
what all.
it's a beautiful little sandwich. It's great. Um, yeah, and
What,
then
by the way, welcome into the people who have joined us. We are going to be reading. We were kind of
I needed
recapping
I needed to tell Liv about
Trevor's.
my New Orleans trip. Yeah,
Yeah, we were recapping Trevor's New Orleans trip while people are coming in, but we will be reading Death of the Author, doing some reading sprints. How about we say at 11:45 we'll start
sounds
the
good.
first
Yeah,
reading sprint. Yeah.
I'll end this all by saying I got what I would say was the best red beans and rice that I've ever had, which was exciting. And hello, hey, it's Leroy. Hey, we
Hi,
love.
Leroy.
Hey, um, and then I also got the best biscuit that I've probably ever had.
Was it at Popeyes?
They do have
Was
great
it
biscuits.
just the Popeyes
Yeah, it
biscuit?
was a Popeyes biscuit, it was at the airport. It was at the Philadelphia airport. Everyone, no, it was at Ruby Slipper, which was tasty. I liked Ruby Slipper.
You went to
Uh,
a lot of classics.
I did. I tried to go as many classics as I could. Yeah, just there's nothing. You really can't go wrong. I didn't go into any places on Bourbon Street, which
Don't
seemed
need to.
wise. Yeah,
Do
I,
not
I
need
wouldn't.
to.
If anyone goes to New Orleans, don't go to Bourbon Street. Do ask Liv for her recommendations because they served me well. So
I think the only worthwhile tourist trap kind of place. I don't even know if you would call it a tourist trap, but just like a place that I don't think locals would go, but might be interesting to go to on Bourbon Street would be like the Absinthe House where they like
yeah,
do the absinthe with the sugar cube and the all that kind of jazz because I don't think you're going to see that anywhere else. But if that's not something that you care about, it's like not worthwhile.
yeah. I saw that. I did have an absinthe drink while I was down there, not at Absinthe House because it was packed. And I, much like what is that place called? The big is it Fin du Monde? The big uh um Cafe du Monde, Cafe du Monde.
I was like,
Um
the end of the world?
what,
Cafe of the world. Okay.
what is it? Got a Demerung, some sort of ice fridge, some sort of trolls. But yeah, it was that place was mobbed, so I didn't go in there because I've been there before and I know it. Like I'll just recommend going there if people want to take a trip. It's beautiful. It's right by the river. It's a gorgeous area to walk around in. But yeah, Absinthe House was like that. But I did have an absinthe drink while I was down there, and that was close enough for me. That was fine.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, it's okay. Do you like anise? You will like absinthe.
Yeah.
If you don't,
I
well, it'll be fine.
a drink that I've had for the first time since being in Australia is also how did what it it's ouzo, the
Oh,
Greek
the Greek, yeah.
Guinness liquor, whatever it is. Really good. Really
See,
good.
I've only had Uso and not liked it, and I've long believed that I just had bad Uso.
This was in a cocktail as well,
Oh,
so
that helps. Yeah, I only had it straight. What is the taste of good Uso? Like the Uso that you like?
it's like anise. It's
Oh,
like a
okay.
licoricey taste.
Hmm.
And I
Well,
like
the
a
Greek,
bitter thing.
I mean, Dionysus was Greek, so I feel like they'd probably make a good liquor.
That's why we're coming out, yeah, pro Greek
Oh, Greek.
as No Cartridge.
Dionysus was both real and Greek. Well, I'm making the call. I like to imagine if the gods would have like nationalities, like were they all Greek? Can we claim them all as Greek? Is that okay?
I think that like they tried like a show like that and it was called Hitalia.
Mm.
I think is um I think they've already covered that.
How do they do it in Percy Jackson? Do you know?
No,
Tilly
I
watched
don't
that
know.
show, but she didn't watch it with me. She watched it on her own.
I think Percy Jackson was like just after I could have I feel
Yeah,
like it came out whenever I was in like middle school or something.
you were already reading like pretty serious stuff at that point.
I was already, yeah, reading some pretty classic literature.
Novelizations of Warcraft.
No, that was much later. That was college whenever I
I mean, you don't want to jump in the
regressed.
deep end. All right. Well,
Okay, yeah, let's just go ahead and start a first reading sprint. Have you started this book yet?
I have. I really like it.
Yeah, I'm only like 12 pages in.
I'm about 50 and I read it on the plane a little bit. The second time on the plane I was very tired because it left at when did it leave? Like I had to get to the airport by 5. So like I was really tired. Woke up at the hotel at 3:45 a.m. So I didn't get a lot of reading done then. I mostly slept. But
Yeah, you
I
never
did
do
love
as
it.
much reading on a plane as you think you will do, I
No,
have
yeah.
found.
But I love it so far. It's really good.
Yeah.
So do you want to do like 15 minutes and then chat? Or did you want to do you have a
Oh,
timer up 20 minutes and then chat?
yeah,
This is
yeah. Does that work
perfect.
for you?
Yeah, totally.
All right.
All right.
I'm gonna mute myself.
Me too. None of you get to hear us. Yeah, Joel, if you have the book, you can totally read with us. And we're back.
Hello. How'd your reading
Hello.
go?
It went well. Well, I guess I should ask you. I don't know how far you are at this point. It's an interesting book as the way it expands.
Yeah. I actually restarted it since I was only like 15 pages in and it had been like at least a month, I think, since I started it. I was like, that's like no time at all to
I
just
get it. Yeah. I
start it.
mean,
So
why not? Right. Yeah.
I'm just like at the wedding at the beginning.
Okay.
Joel said that the synopsis feels very of the moment, which like I I think I know what Joel's saying, in terms of, like, just, like, kind of, like, the social issues, I guess, that are in there too, but it's very interesting that it does feel like it's very interested in being a novel, like, it wants to
Yeah.
tell a story and have lots of characters and
And it's neat. I mean, not to give anything away, but as it goes into the rest of the book, like, and then it'll happen very, very soon after the part you're at, introduces sort of a new, like, another story within the story, right? And like,
Mhm.
that has a lot to do with automation and robots and what it is to tell stories and things like that. And it, I was texting with a friend about this when I was reading it, and I was like, it's funny. It's like, this is all about someone who feels like they keep getting rejected, or like they have, like, they're trying to, like, get a job in the academy, it can't work. And I was like, I can really relate with this character. And he laughed and he was like, yes, you very much remind me of a queer disabled Black woman. And I was like, well, notwithstanding the obvious differences, um but it is interesting, like, the way that like the book um approaches, like, storytelling and the power of it, but also the frustration of it and the disrespect that comes with, like, trying it, but then the sort of, like, shamanistic respect you get once you have done it against everyone's wishes.
Mhm.
Like, it's really interesting. Like, it truly is in so many ways, like, a book about books, like a lot of novels are. But um I think there's part of part of it for me is just how much it switches perspective. It really feels, like, vibrant and alive.
Yeah. I think also, I just, like, love I feel like a wedding is, like, a classic scene for a book, like, I think
Totally.
there's more weddings per capita in books than there are, other events, and I like it, and I like whenever it's a Nigerian wedding, I think, I
Specifically,
think
or
it's
just
in this book at the
oh, no, no,
beginning.
I meant, do you specifically like it when it's a Nigerian wedding?
Oh, I like learning about, like, a different type of wedding just
That's
because
why I
I've
was teasing you. I
been
figured I figured that's what you meant. Yeah, no, and I totally agree. It's fun. Like, it feels super interesting and very intimate in a way that also seems plausible.
mm. Yeah, I don't really have too much to say yet just because I am only now like 25 pages into the book. But yeah, I was wondering like what you were thinking if you've read another book about being an adjunct professor.
I've read books where professors are in them. Very rarely do people write about being an adjunct professor, although it's probably more common nowadays, and I'm just not as up to date. I feel like for a long time that was sort of the purview of failed thinkers, and novelists rarely like to portray themselves that way or their characters that way. That's one of the reasons why I like Okorafor's book here, because clearly Zelu, the main character, is brilliant and, like, very confident and competent. Um, but she's also an adjunct because that's just kind of like what it is at this
Hmm.
point. That's what the academy is. And that's a very reasonable and accurate portrayal of it, as opposed to something like, and I have my issues with this book, but it's less about. I actually really really like the book up until the ending. And now I'm forgetting the name because I always confuse it with the band The Replacements. The Corrections. Franzen's The Corrections. I don't know if you ever read that.
Mm-mm.
It's I mean, uh the
Don't
thing about Frank.
Fran-
What's that?
don't think I've read any Franzen.
The thing about Franzen is his prose is essentially impeccable. It's a joy to read a Franzen book because he can always put together a wonderful sentence and a wonderful paragraph. He's an extraordinarily skilled author. I think The Corrections is actually legitimately a good book. I think the ending is politically wrong, but I mean that's a quibble. You know, I think it's weird. I think his later books are a little less interesting, but The Corrections is worth reading. And one of the things in The Corrections though is there's a college professor character who is, you know, he's sleeping around. He's kind of like he's a lush, and those are his flaws. But he is a full professor, and I
Mm,
feel like Franzen is responding to like a long tradition of that being the case. That like you know your professor character is always a full professor, and it's almost always he sucks at it and is drunk and sleeping with his students, but he has the job, and it's sort of like it's basically like you know any given drunk comedian kind of thing. And I feel like that's something people still aspire to in terms of writing. And I think Okorafor completely throws that in the trash. Like Zelu drinks and Zelu has sex with her students, but also Zelu lives in the real world. Like she is broke. She is struggling as anyone who has tried to write or apply for jobs or anything like that
mm.
in the current world would know.
Yeah, it kind of like demysticizes that uh I don't even want to say ideal of a professor, but kind of that
Totally.
still kind of like a hallowed image. Like there is something that even whenever they're being like pigs, like there's something that's like aspirational about it in a way. Like they're so tortured and they're so whatever.
There's a great, I don't know if you've seen this movie or not. I watched it a lot as a kid because my dad really liked it. And I mean, I liked it too. And I still think it's a funny movie. Have you seen National Lampoon's Animal House?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so there's a scene in National Lampoon's Animal House, which is very funny. But I mean, it's like a late 70s, early 80s comedy movie. So, you know, it has its stuff. But there's one scene where one guy's girlfriend, they go to her house and a professor played by Donald Sutherland opens the door. And he's only in like a shirt and she's only in a shirt. So it's obvious like she's cheated on this guy with the professor and he's kind of crushed. But it's a kind of beautiful scene for what the way you said it there. I mean, it's funny. It's you know it's comedy, but Sutherland answers the door and he seems very very like I'm in the it's good to see you. I'm sorry you'll have to leave or the kind of like the allure of the aura as you said it, but like as he goes back into the kitchen, he reaches up for a coffee mug and he's not wearing underwear. So you just sort of, he's like, you just see his ass. And like he gets the mug and brings it down. And it's just such like as you say, it's like a demystification of that kind of moment where it's like,
Mm,
oh, that's like the least flattering thing you could do after giving off a mysterious aura is like lift up your dress shirt while getting a mug of coffee and not realize you're exposing yourself. And I think Okorafor with Zelu is like constantly sort of writing her in these situations where she either accidentally reveals herself to people or doesn't care at all. Like the scene, there's a scene where I don't know if you got to this point, but there's a scene where she gets in trouble because she yells at her students.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and like her one student, and I've never taught creative writing, but every creative writing teacher I've talked to has said this. You get some of the most brutal stuff to have to deal with. You read these stories and people are very cocky and very much, oh, I don't need your help. I don't need your advice and stuff like that. And sometimes you have to give them rough feedback, but that especially happens in graduate school. In undergrad, you don't really give rough feedback. You give like kind feedback, right? And I think there is a real desire, I guess, for lack of a better word, to actually give that feedback, to actually be like, listen, like I hate what you've done here, and you think it's good, but it's not good, and like you don't think you need me, but like I'm a better writer than you, and it is sort of like a fun thing to watch her do that because I think every professor ever, or adjunct professor especially, has wanted to do that because students don't really respect you as much. I also think like it is a moment of like total failure on her part, and the fact that it kind of blows up in her face is also very honest. Like this isn't a power fantasy of a teaching thing. Like this is just a very vulnerable and like real person.
Yeah, it felt like um not to like it felt like one of those scenes where and then everyone clapped or
Yeah.
something, but then it's like no, on the next page she gets a call and yeah, she's been let go.
And all of the students want to have like a did you get to the part where the students want to have like a thing where they call her in and they have like they talk together and they all meet at a like a safe space, and so they can discuss the like debrief on it and like and sort of chat about everything that happened. Like it's like incredibly irritating because like and especially again like it's threading this really cool needle from a perspective where like you usually get critiques about safe spaces and those kinds of things from the right, which are annoying because they're always about, well, I didn't need a place to have a safe space. I was white and male and it didn't bother me at all. Like I was okay. I just, toughened up. But like the other thing about the safe spaces thing is, and the way it's critiqued here by Zaylu just getting really pissed at it, is it does make everything into this long drawn out like courtroom procedural where you're just like, okay, everyone, like, no, let's let everyone get a chance to talk. And like that is annoying. And it can be annoying if you
Mm.
have like a lot of emotions and you want to be like, don't shut up. I don't want to do stack. Like we have to get to something here. And I think like Okorafor does a good job of like showing that kind of like non-right wing annoyance with it without also kind of falling into like, boy, the school systems are sure messed up these days and have gone way too far left, which is like inevitably what any of these things do, except she doesn't. I find it like it just is very honest, like representation of that world, and so far just honest in general. It's really cool.
Yeah. I'm I'm excited. It's so interesting because the only other book that I've read by her was Binti, which is
Mm.
like it's a novella trilogy, I think, but whenever I say novella, I think they're like 50 pages. Like
Also, like a true novella, like almost
they
short story
are
novella.
yeah. So it's interesting that this is like pretty beefy.
Yeah, this is a long book. It's interesting though because like you bring up that it's a Binti uh oh hey, she got her MA where I got my PhD,
Is that Chicago? I did
University of
notice,
Illinois at Chicago.
yeah, I noticed that that it was like set in Chicago or like they were at least in Chicago in the prologue,
There's
like
a lot in
whenever
Chicago,
her
yeah.
yeah.
The and Luis Urea has a comment on it. He's a professor. He's a fairly well known writer, but he's also a professor um at University of Illinois Chicago. When did she get it? That's so neat. Oh yeah, master's degree and a PhD in English because that's what you get. That's right. When you're a creative writer, you get a PhD at the University of Chicago. That's neat. She was there well before me, but right on, go Flames.
It's like a
Um,
joint program thing, like a
yeah, so I had all my classes with. I mean, it was really cool, and like I think it really builds this sort of like very, I don't know, like careful and interesting approach because I had all of my classes had creative writers in them as well, and they'd have to do theory and they'd have to do analysis and all that stuff. I was never in their creative writing classes. That would have actually been pretty cool, but it's a creative writing program. I'm not as good as they are. They don't want me in there, but they had to actually be like they at least had to be sort of like conversational and decent at theory and practice and have like a serious sort of like approach. And I think Okorafor has like absolutely an approach that
mm.
shows.
Obviously like my master's degree is in something different, but it was always very interesting in my undergrad English classes whenever it'd be like the different concentrations and like whenever you get like an English education person in there, like secondary education,
They had
like
to do the theory
we
too.
were we were communicating in different ways. Like it's so interesting that English majors are so stratified, I guess.
I mean, especially once it gets up to that level, right? Because like you get people who are writing the stories and writing things. You get people like me who sort of like are analyzing them or thinking about them. And then you get people who are doing like English ed stuff because like they were also in the program and they were getting the PhDs we were getting. but they'd end up focusing in rhetoric because it would essentially be like an extremely high level composition rhetoric program. Um, and like, I don't know, there's something about, maybe now I'm just kind of like forcing it on there, but like I feel like there's something. The one thing that program, I really enjoyed my time at UIC. I they didn't get me a job necessarily, but like they also very openly did not promise to get me a job. They said like, listen, this market is horrible. You better
Yeah.
really just want to do this. And I did, and I'm glad I did. But like the the cool thing about the approach there is that you have to kind of live all three things at least a little bit, right? Like I took rhetoric classes, or classes with rhetoric professors, which essentially boiled down to rhetoric classes. I wasn't allowed to take creative writing classes, but that's fine. I was in classes with creative writers. I read their work, I would workshop it with them and stuff. But like, it was always challenging to hear other people's perspectives, and not in a and then we all kind of came to the same conclusion, but more like you hear everyone's perspectives and then you're just like, okay, well, none of us agreed though. I'd go to their dissertation presentations, and people would ask really hard questions. Like I remember this one guy wrote a collection of short stories, and they were all sort of connected but short stories. And one of the literary critic professors was like, well, why didn't you just write a book? Why did you write these short stories? Like, why not a novel? And he didn't have a good answer. And it's like, that is a question a critic's going to ask you. It's also just like a good question. Or like when I was, when I did my presentation, I did a piece on poetry and conceptual poetry, and someone asked me about lyric poetry. I think it was a poet, and it's like, it's a great question. I wouldn't have thought of it, and I'm not a poet, and I was just approaching this as a bunch of text, but it's a tradition, and I should actually really know what I'm talking about. And I think like Okorafor has like this sense of like, especially as the book goes on and the chapters become more diffuse and the characters become more, I don't know, more like it's this sense of like, okay, I know where everyone's coming from because I've thought about it. And that's
Mhm.
really, really rewarding.
I miss that so much about being in class, and there
Yeah.
would just be people who were it seemed like only interested in maybe like one thing, and so that they were going to make everything kind of like circle back to their one thing. But I
Yes.
miss that because it's like, maybe I should be looking at whatever I wanted to look at through the lens of like Old Norse or whatever, like the Poetic Edda. I don't.
Yeah, it's cool too, because like that was, UIC has a and I don't know if it really had that when she was there. I believe that I believe that when Okorafor would have been there, it was that would have been when she would have been probably like right around the time when the department was taken over by Stanley Fish, when he left Duke and came to UIC. But it really was like it's very much a department that's focused on like rigor, and there's a lot of stuff where it's like your teachers will tell you like, I think you're wrong. Like there's not a lot of like we all have our interpretation. Like people will be like, no, that's wrong. You're supposed to be like arguing about like if you're right or wrong. And like, you know even though that's the case, it was cool at UI. One of the things that I liked about UIC was that they did not really beat you down about your focus being too narrow until you got to the exams and dissertation phase. Like when you were in seminar, you could kind of bash on about whatever you want. Like once I was doing my exams, that's when I was told like the only people who would like this are when I wrote a paper, and my advisor Walter Brand Michaels told me um, the only people who would enjoy this are the 5 oldest Marxists on the planet. And
And you can write for them.
it's like, ooh, okay. He also said this is why Marxist literary criticism died.
Oh,
He was, it was he, he did preface it by saying, Trevor, before I say this, I want you to know that I think you're super smart and super serious. But so that was him being as nice as possible. But yeah, like you can do that though. I was allowed to bang on about that stuff for 2 years, and I think that's sort of like intense focus really hones you and hones an idea of like what it's like to have an interest when you see it in someone else, and it can be really cool.
Yeah, I miss that. I feel like you don't really get to spend that much time with other people's viewpoints. Like even whenever you're like seeing them a lot on social media or something, like you're not being like in a good way, you're being held hostage by them in some
Yes.
situations where you have to really empathize with their thought processes
Yeah, you're
and
not allowed to just say like, I don't care, I'm blocking you. Like you have to sort of like sit through it, even if it's annoying. Like even
well,
if it kind of sucks. Yeah.
even people you like on social media, like I think that you see their tweets frequently as like content unless you're like in a
Mm.
group DM or something like that. You don't really I think it's hard to put tweets together in a way where you can empathize with a thought process. Like I think it's hard
It's tough. Yeah, no, I totally
in that
agree.
kind of like fractured way of
There's
communicating.
it's a much more vulnerable way to talk when you're like answering a question in a seminar or something like that than with a tweet.
Oh yeah,
That's so much more vulnerable, and then that makes it so much more interesting. Um, I
because you actually
also
have to defend what you're saying instead of being like, I was being ironic. Like it
yeah, that
was.
was that was the worst part where like you had to I wrote a Joel's right, he did cook, he kind of smoked me there. He smoked all sorts of people. He told my one friend Aaron, who then he quit before he got his master's, but he quit before he did his exams, because he just decided he didn't really like it. But at one point, he was trying to convince Michaels that he could do intentionalism, which is Michaels's whole thing. And Michael, we were on the 20th floor of a building, and he said, "I no more expect you to be able to tell me anything about intentionalism than I do for you to leap out of this window, fly 3 times around the building, and land back in here safely." A brutal man.
We would be booking a room for our safe space,
Yeah,
Socratic forum.
I'm gonna say he gagged me. He gagged him there. He gagged him. That wasn't
Your
me,
wig was
thankfully.
gone.
Yeah, he
You
came
were
out.
gooped, gagged. Yeah.
And my buddy
Your
came out,
wig flew
and
around the block 3
yeah,
times.
it did. I came right back in and landed right on his head. Um, but yeah, like it's like one of the things that I love about this this book is that like it. Oh wait, I was gonna say defending things. Sorry, I'll pause on that thought. Yeah, it's like I remember writing a piece on Paul de Man, and no, it wasn't Paul de Man. It was Giorgio Agamben. I did a homo soccer, a thing on homo soccer and state of exception, which are probably better, even more important reads now. I really like Giorgio Agamben, but I did a thing on Giorgio Agamben, and like that was my first big paper I wrote for that class. That was when I still had Kristen read my papers, and that was the last one she read. She was like, "I don't understand this." She's like, "The words look like they're grammatically correct." I was like, "Okay, I don't have to torture you with this stuff anymore." But I had to like defend the hell out of that, and like I think a lot of people didn't come away convinced, but it was clarifying. Um, and I couldn't say I was just being ironic, although
Mm,
I wanted to several times.
mhm.
But I was gonna say one of the things I think is really cool is one of the things I think is really cool is that uh the story that she writes in this book, the novel that she starts writing, um is really inspirational because it, for me anyway, because it absolutely goes back to that college sense of like, I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to do this. I don't care about any of the other like larger issues that I know are important and I have like tucked away in my head and stuff like that. It's just like she sits down, she's like, I'm going to write this thing. I like it and I'm going to keep writing it. It makes me happy when I do it. And that's so cool. Like it's so cool to even have a like a fictional character do it. Maybe I'm vulnerable for that kind of thing right now, but
Mm.
like genuinely it's just like this is so cool. Like it's so neat that that is happening, and like I feel very like spoken to by that, and it's cool. It's really neat.
So we're gonna write novels now?
No, we're gonna do other things, but we're not writing novels. I have an idea
Oh,
for a novel, but I'm not a good writer that way.
I have to tell you I did start a novel this week.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll see. Well,
I shouldn't have said, "Wait,
ideally,
you can write a novel."
we'll see if I can write a novel. I like truly, I don't know that I've written a lot of like maybe 1,000 words on different stories over the years, but never, this is like the most I've written.
Let's go.
Yeah,
That's exciting. I
yeah,
would, I would, I'm thrilled.
we'll
I
see.
think that is going to be great.
We'll see. Yeah, writing some game stuff and writing hopefully this novella. We'll see.
That's so cool. Yeah, I have an idea for a murder mystery detective sort of deal, but
Ooh. Oh, I thought you had like the do you already have like a mystery in mind? Like you've thought of something
oh
and now you have
yeah,
to
yeah. I have a whole sort of
Oh,
series of. I mean, I have a whole idea in my head, but it's just like it is. So I the one time I tried to write, and I feel bad saying it because like I hope he never hears me say this because he would feel so bad. But my dad gave me feedback on this thing I wrote that I thought was really good. And I was like, I think this is really good. And he was like, wow, this is really good, man. This is really good, Trev. Like, I think it's really neat. But he was like, and he basically, he told me that it was like, it needed a lot of work and needed to be changed if I wanted to ever like, really be a good writer because that's what he does. I mean, he does a lot of things, but he's a pretty good fiction writer. And he really gave me like legitimate feedback as if you would give it to someone who was like a serious writer and not like a 13
and
or
not your
14-year old.
child.
Yeah. And
Oh, you were like a child at this point.
yeah, I was, I mean, maybe I was like 16. I don't know, but like at least I was no older than 18, no older than 17. Yeah,
That's
I
so
was pretty young.
beautiful that he respected you like that.
I agree. It's very beautiful. It backfired insofar as I have never written again, but it was beautiful.
You realize that was like more than half your life ago.
I can't do it. I don't know how to write. I don't know how to
You
write
wrote a whole
creatively.
book. You published a book.
There's nothing in there that's creative except the ideas. I can do the ideas. I just can't do the. Well, it's a whole other door. It's a whole other story. Maybe
Okay.
I'll try. Maybe I'll try. Maybe I'll try. We'll see. We'll see.
Do we want to do another reading sprint?
Yeah, you want to read for like 10 more minutes and then call it a night?
If well, it
It's
sounds like you
10:30
want to
here.
read for 10 more minutes and call it a night.
It's
So,
up to
yeah,
you. Do you want
let
to,
me
if you
find
want to do
a
20, that's fine.
Well, I mean, it's really up to you because I have nothing to do, but if you want to
I'm a
do
little
10 minutes,
sleepy
that's
and I
fine.
should probably get the
Okay.
dog to sleep,
Yeah.
but I
Um,
would like to read a little more.
let's
Yes.
see. Get it
Or
back on the stage. Nope, not my face. Our faces. All
thank
right.
you, Adam Eschborn.
Yeah, Adam Eshborn is slaying it.
Absolutely
All right.
incredible.
Muting myself.
Well, I am very excited about this book. I think it's going to be really fun.
Me too. I also am thinking it is underrated to like read the beginning of a book with someone else. Like
It's true.
I have really enjoyed talking about it before things even really get going and like kind of taking some more time because usually the beginning of a book is like my least favorite part while I'm trying to
Yeah,
orient myself and like I think like having um talking about it has has really put me on the right path for this book.
agreed. Yeah, yeah. Maybe talking about it just made me more excited about the things that I already was excited about, and it's really cool. I'm very excited to get more into it and read more about where her story goes. Rooting for Zelu.
Rooting for Zelu. Yeah, I read my first chapter from her book.
Oh, it's so cool. So neat.
Yeah, and it's like in such a different style than the non-novel elements.
I like when they even change the font. I think it's pretty neat.
Yeah, I think it's good. You know what? I read a book recently. Like you think that like people are intelligent and they can like switch perspectives and stuff like that. But I read a book very recently and like it was very hard to tell the perspectives apart. And I kept getting lost and I was like, are they doing something experimental where now they've switched? But no, it was just like not that well written. So
I
I
her
do
her different
appreciate that.
voices. Yeah, her different voices both for the books and the family members are thus far anyway. And I'm not even a quarter of the way through, but are great. They're so distinct and so fun. So yeah, I agree with you. I think she does a great job of shifting.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Have you started playing Split Fiction yet?
I haven't yet because I'm just trying to find time to play it with someone. That's sort of the trick with it. Have you?
No, I just finished downloading it this week and
It's not so long, I guess. So we should be able to do that. I should be able to do that.
no, we're gonna get a start on it this week. We're really excited.
I'm excited too.
It's
Once I
it's
finally
been
get a
a
chance. Very
it's been
excited.
a while since we played a like a co-op game together, and I think that that's like some of my favorite stuff, really.
Was the last co-op game you played together? Trying to think of a good co-op game. Gears of War 3.
I've never played Gears of War, no.
Ah, they're fun as a co-op game, I gotta say.
We played Biped. Honestly, we kind of have been playing Blueprints as a co-op game. Like
Oh, it's so fun.
it's kind of nice to have someone else. There's not that many like puzzle games where it really feels like a person sitting next to you would be like helpful in any way.
In this one,
Um,
it is. I was talking
yeah.
with someone, one of my friends from the Discord, from the No Cartridge Discord, who's really into blueprints, who had listened to the episode, and he was like, "I need an update on your blueprints experience right now." And so I told him about it, and he's been playing with like a group of people, and they're like super deep into it, and they've just been like sharing ideas as they go. And I was like, "Yeah, you know what? That actually wouldn't be bad." Like, I definitely am at the point in the game where I'm still playing a ton of it, but I'm a little stagnated in terms of where I go from here. And so like it's like, boy, having an extra person might be nice. That's true.
Yeah. I saw a picture of a dog the other day and I was like, a dog?
Ain't no dog. What the
I
heck?
ain't seen no I ain't seen no dog in Blueprints.
I saw a train at one point in like up. I was like, a train?
Like a literal train or like a
A-
picture of a
No,
train?
the literal train and a station.
Okay, what? I have not gotten there.
I haven't gotten there either. I saw it in like a vision or in
Oh, I
not my
thought
own
you
vision, the
oh,
vision of the great Alzara. Uh, have you
the
done that room
fortune
yet?
teller,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
the rumpus room.
That was one of my his the visions he gave me was of a there was a train. I was
I
like,
was
oh, is that a
spooked the first time.
train?
Imagine if you got to that room and you didn't have any coins and you're just like, "Well, this room was boring."
They give you 8 coins in that room, and I have to
Oh,
believe
okay.
there is a reason for that. You're in there with no coins, and you're just like, I wish more than anything I could talk to Alzara. Good news. Well, I think I am going to call it a night, but this was very fun.
This was very fun. If there was I don't know if anyone's actually reading with us. I see that people are watching. If there's anyone reading, like I will do more reading sprints, but since no one
Yeah.
is chatting, it makes me think that
Maybe
it,
they're just enjoying being here with us.
yeah.
Well, you let us know either via your social media network of choice or the Discord. If you'd like us to do more of these, I'm
There's
also happy.
Juan. There's my friend Juan.
Yay! Hello, Juan.
Well, I mean, I'll read with you, Juan. You can come on and read with me, and we can do reading sprints together if you want
Yeah, I could
to.
I could peace out and Juan can hop on. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. All right. Well, you know where to find me for anything. You are already at Liv's YouTube, so please keep watching, subscribe, like,
Yeah, I love how
share.
you're like trying to do the outro on
I
my
know.
channel.
I'm not. This isn't my thing. I started it. It's like muscle memory. I don't even like
And
doing
Liv, where can
outros.
they find you?
They know where to find you. Well, you can find me at No Cartridge, the
Yeah, I
podcast.
I linked your blue sky
Oh, thank you.
in the details, I believe.
An excellent place to link.
Mm.
All right. Well, I guess that's all.
Yeah. Farewell, my friend.
Good night.
Good night. Do you know how to leave?
Do you go off? Do you go off
Do you want
live
me
or
just
should
to remove you? I can
No, I
remove
can
you.
leave. I thought I didn't know you were still doing it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was saying that if
Oh,
anyone
you
was
actually were gonna have
reading.
one. Great. All right. I will talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye. Okay. I am way too big now. Juan, did you want to read? Did you want me to do another reading sprint? I don't mind sticking on, but I guess I will wait a minute and then I might do one more. Okay, let me send you an invite. Wait, did you want to join or did you just want to um watch? Okay, hold on 1 second. Mm. Okay, I sent it to you on Instagram. Oh, I'm so excited.
Hi.
Oh my goodness, I'm so happy to see you.
How's it going?
I love your mood lighting. I feel like we're in a red room.
You feel like what?
We're like in a red room. We're in a
I am.
I feel like we're about to see like a snuff situation.
Oh, I'm on the set of Hostel 4.
Oh, that's exciting.
It's big things are coming. um, Hi. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh my gosh, I'm so happy you're here. I was
I
like not
like
ready to be done.
my my phone stand is like crooked, but I kind of like this German expressionism angle.
Yeah, yeah. What's it called? A Dutch angle? Is that it?
Yeah. That's what I meant.
I'm just posting about it to my story so everyone knows that
Oh.
this is where the party is at. I love like doing reading sprints for the podcast too, because like it's like a video game podcast. So people are like, now what is a reading sprint? What do you do?
Are there gaming sprints? Like you game for 30 minutes and
That's like Twitch. Like people,
oh,
I don't think people like, all right, we're all gonna play our games for 30 minutes and then we'll come back and talk about it.
that would be
They
cute.
should though.
Yeah. I tune in.
Okay. This is so interesting though. It's my first time ever like doing a live, so I was just hoping that I was doing everything correctly.
It's very it's not as easy as it seems. It's just a lot.
I think it's exactly as easy as it seems.
Yeah. You literally just press record and that's it. But
What are you reading?
I'm reading a whole bunch of so I'm working on my review of Hog, which
Oh yeah. You've been
which
working on
is
that for a while.
yeah, for like 4 years. Like the thing with Hog is like it's such a weird book to review. Like, I could just get up on the camera and be like, "Ooh, this book is yucky and stinky," right? But like it's like a cultural marker to so many things. Like it was written right before Stonewall. It was published post AIDS epidemic, and it's written by a guy who was in support of NAMBLA. So there's a lot of like moving parts, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just very complicated, especially in like the climate we're in. I'm like, how do I approach this in like the most useful way? So I'm reading. Well, I'm rereading a chapter from um, Black Skins, White Masks by Frantz Fanon, who was this I don't know if he was the first, but maybe most famously attempted a psychoanalytical take on race. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, I want to reread the chapter called the Lived Experience of the Black Man. So that's what I'm rereading. But yeah.
Yeah. So I've never read Hog. I have like the sense that it's about pedophilia. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, like, yeah. It's about basically like every single. It follows like this. It's kind of even like Blood Meridian. I don't know if you've read Blood Meridian.
Mm-mm.
Well, Blood Meridian is about a band of scalpers in like when the American Southwest was being colonized, and it follows like all their exploits of like murder and like all sorts of horrible stuff. It's kind of like that. Like we follow a gang of degenerates who just kind of go around doing every horrible thing imaginable. So it's just like transgression upon transgression. Um, but you could tell it's coming from like a really angry and destitute place, you know, and um, it's just yeah.
And it's like there's just some that it feels less like fictional in some way, that it's more honest about the desire to be transgressive, or
It's kind of like I don't know. It is kind of cartoonish in a way that like it's just the same horrible over sexual thing over and over. But the way I'm approaching it is like, what would drive a person to write something like this? Like, what is the sort of impetus, and what is it actually trying to say about, you know, the American nuclear family and um, our perceptions of sexuality, things like that. But
mm,
it's not a book that I would say is like good. It's like
yeah.
not, you know, it's not enjoyable. It's not even original, I guess, but it is kind of like the one book I've read where it keeps that constant transgression for so long that I'm just like, this is an interesting cultural artifact, I guess.
I'm interested in how it's like different from something like The Slob or something for you, like other kind of like extreme horror works that are trying to be transgressive.
Yeah, well, it has good grammar. That's
Oh,
a
so it's not like any extreme horror book you've ever read.
yeah, there's the big difference there. It's a book that's written well, but I just kind of think like Samuel Delaney, the author, was like a queer black man growing up in like the decades in America where
I
being
was
homeless.
missing that part of it. Okay.
Yeah, and like he grew up in America in like the decades where being gay was seen as like a mental illness, and you know, like the most explosive sort of decades in regards to like civil rights movements and sexual liberation movements. Like I feel like all of that was like sloshing around in his head. um
Mm.
so it's like a curious cultural artifact, but yeah.
Well, I don't know that I will be reading it, but I will be
You should.
watching the review.
Oh, I appreciate that. I,
I'm very excited to see how you're able to like pull all of these texts together to like say something about that's a lot more interesting to me than like reading the book, I think, as like how to talk about something like that.
yeah, for me too. Like you know, like the whole, I don't know. I kind of like, you know, I started talking about books on my channel, kind of like, oh, you should, these books are really fucked up. You know, you should check them out. But I also like this, like that more video essay type of stuff where you
Hmm.
can kind of like dive deep, like deeper beneath that surface level reaction and just kind of be like, well, is there something like um, culturally or philosophically illuminating about these things? And sometimes there's not, you know. Sometimes there's just books. Like I think it's sometimes it's 50-50, you know. But I feel like for something like Hog, there's definitely like the sociocultural aspect of it that I probably find more interesting than the book itself, you know.
Mm. Well, I think that you're the best person for the job. Like to me, you are like the foremost transgression academic.
Thank you.
Yeah. I don't know if anyone else is like trying to have that job, but I think that you are.
Well, I've seen some reviews of Hog on YouTube, and it's mostly just people being like, "This is fucked up,"
Yeah.
you know, and like that's cool, but
I feel like I've seen like a lot more academic writing on like transgressive like film and visual arts, but I feel like
yeah.
I don't know why books feel, I don't know.
I think people struggle to read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like also like whenever it's like a transgressive film or something, like the act of multiple people having to come together to kind of like have some sort of consensus feels less evil than like one person writing fucked up shit alone.
That's true. Yeah. Like the act of writing is
I think it
and
feels
and
more dangerous when it's from one person than from a group of people.
yeah, and I also like I think what you commit to the page, you can get away with a lot more than what you can commit on film, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, you can say all kinds of things that you cannot
Yeah.
Well, do you want to read?
I would love to.
What kind of time do you want?
What have you been doing?
Our last one was 10 minutes because he was getting sleepy.
Wow.
Uh, I need like a little bit longer than that, I think. What do
We
you
could do
want?
20. 20.
20?
Yeah.
Okay. Hello.
Per.
Her.
I
Sa-
didn't even ask. What are you reading?
yeah, I'm reading Death of the Author by Nnedi Okorafor. It's the book that we're reading for like the podcast book club. Like
Oh,
each quarter we do like a video game with a book and conversation. And so this is like has um like an element where she's writing a novel. This is so good so far. She was like an adjunct professor, um, like a disabled black adjunct professor at this like white liberal university and gets fired for um, giving someone like harsh criticism in their creative writing class. And so she's like in a place where she's now like very poor because she was already like making no money as an adjunct professor and just decides to write this novel. And something about like how she's writing the novel I think is going to like change the world around her. And then the video game that we're talking about it with is Split Fiction, which is like a fantasy author and a sci-fi author. It's a co-op game, like you have to play it with another person. And like I think the fantasy author and the sci-fi author each are able to change the world around them, but like in different ways, like depending on their genre. So that's what.
that sounds fascinating. I feel like I have. Let me. Do I have a book by her? Hold on.
Shh. Saf, tell me about the Buried Giant. I've never actually read anything by him before.
Never mind. I don't. Hello, Saf.
I know. I'm so excited to see them. Have you read anything by Kazuo Ishiguro?
Yes, I read The Remains of the Day,
Mm.
um, which is a really weird. Have you read that or heard of it?
I haven't read anything by him. Like I feel like they're like that's like a very like missing piece. Leanne's here too. Oh my gosh. Wait, we have so many celebrities in the chat.
This is a blast from the past. Yeah. Hello.
Wait, I love the idea of a D&D Wizard of Oz journey.
Oh.
Do I need to check this out?
I remember him being a very good author. It's
Yeah,
just like
I know that they're all very beloved. I think it's something about knowing how beloved they are that's like makes me not rush to it.
like the book I read by him is about an English butler, but it's kind of like he's seeing the last days of that kind of like British aristocracy, uh,
Ooh.
and it's him sort of seeing like the final days of like that refined British Empire crumbling and sort of like losing his place in the world, and it's very tragic. He made me empathize with an old British man, so there's magic to his words.
Oh, yeah, that's really powerful rhetoric. There's like what's the really popular one that's like it's something about like school kids or something like that. And
Yeah,
I know
like
that there's like something you're not supposed to know about it, so I don't look too far into it. You know
do
what I'm
I
talking
have it? Um, or maybe I give it away.
Do you have all your books now?
I have a lot of them back, but I had to like cull through them because they don't all fit in my new place.
Yeah.
um, but I don't think I. No, I don't have it. Wow. But I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have not read
Maybe
that
that's the
one.
one I should start with.
I've heard good things. Something
Yeah.
about like it's kind of like dystopian-ish, right?
Yeah, I think it's like I think you're allowed to know it's dystopian, but there's like something about it, like some kind of like twisting about it that you're like not supposed to know. I don't know. That's why I feel like that's what makes me want to get to something whenever I'm like, I don't want to find out by accident, and then I'll definitely
Mhm.
never.
You want to fuck around.
Yeah, I only wanna find out. I only wanna I only want to reap and not sow,
I see.
or
Um,
reap, whatever the
I have well, I did get this back. So like we're so back, you know.
Yeah. Never Let Me Go. Yes, that is what it is.
That's the one, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe we could buddy read it if you do wanna read it at some point, Leanne.
Uh,
Um, I need to get, like, a text, some sort of, like, criticism on disability and labor for this, I think, to discuss this. It's really interesting because it is like the story that she's writing is about like automation and AI. And it's
oh,
like I think that that would be a
like that's
I
cool.
don't know that I don't know that I read anything in college on disability.
Or at
Did
all.
you?
I don't know that I've read. Um, let me think.
I mean,
I
we
do.
must have, but I think that it would be more prominent in university today than it was
Yeah, no,
whenever I
I
was
don't.
there.
Not off the top of my head.
I think
Um,
whenever I was there, they were like low key not feeling bad about excluding disabled people from society.
right. No, I feel that. Like it was not. It was not like a hot topic. Um, and I mean, I read Madness and Civilization by Foucault, but
Hmm.
that's about all I can think of.
Yeah. This part like gagged me in the book where so she's been fired and then they ask her to come back to the university so that they can have like an open forum with the students about like how she hurt their feelings and
Oh my god.
she's like, "You want me to fly on whenever I have no money, a disabled black woman fly back for free whenever you've just fired me?"
Are they like white students?
Yes, of course they are.
Of course.
It was so where is it? I think I tabbed it because it was just crazy. I don't know. I'll have to find it again. It seems like I didn't tap it. But this is really good so far. Have you never seen me talk about that my book podcast thing before?
I was listening to your the one you did for James, the
Oh.
latest one.
Oh, you listened to it?
Yeah, well, I listened to like half when I was at the
Yeah.
gym.
I think James was like the kind of the front half of it, and then
And then you were going to talk about
Halo
Halo.
2.
Yeah.
Yeah. Halo 2 is more in the back half of it. Um, did you read James? Are you going to read James?
I should. Who was the author?
Percival Everett.
What else has he written?
He wrote The Trees, and then I forget what the book is called, but he wrote the book that American Fiction, I think is what it's the movie that's like based off of like it's like a black author who's like never getting published writing the literary books he wants to write. So then he writes this book that he feels like is from like this like perverted sense of like what America wants a black
Oh,
book to be about. Gosh, let me look it up.
the one I want to read. I know it's here because I just dug it out of a box. Could you also you gave it to me? Where is it?
I gave it to you.
Yeah. Um, I want to say it's called Ring. Yes, Ring Shout.
I gave you that?
You did when you
Did I? Do I not have that?
You
Did I get
sent
an
it
extra
to,
copy of
you sent it to me along with Nothing But Black and Tea.
it?
You were like, here's an actually good book.
I can't believe that you didn't hate that book as much as I did.
It was mid. I didn't say I loved it.
That was like that was like one of the worst books I've ever read. Like not in content, but like the actual sentence structure and the way things were written was so juvenile. It was
maybe it's because I've read like The Slob and things like that.
you had probably just read like Talia or whatever it's called.
I was reading Competent Grammar and I was like, this isn't that bad. The bar is in hell for me. But this is like, I remember you said really good things about it and it's like super short and like the font's really big and I'm like, why haven't I read this yet?
Why haven't you read that?
I
No,
know.
it's so good. It's
I'm
so
gonna
good.
leave it out just so I can read it.
No,
And I
he's like one of
remember,
my
sorry.
faves.
And I remembered it because someone compared it to Sinners. Like, so I haven't seen Sinners yet either. I was gonna go watch it with a friend, but then we watched Final Destination.
We saw both of them. We haven't seen like that many movies in theaters this year, but those were two that we did see. Sinners is so good, and if you can see it in theaters, then like
I should. And
yeah,
then I want to watch Bring Her Back now that it's coming out.
yeah. I think we'll probably go see that, but like it is probably good,
It's probably like
but
18 for, you know, like
yeah,
we've seen it.
I can only take so much grief, horror, literal metaphors stuff. Like Hereditary did it for me, and then we kept beating that horse. You
It kept
know?
being like haggard white people on screen grieving, and it's like, okay.
Yeah. Everything's so literal now. Like I loved Final Destination because it was like I think it's like the closest to an amoral horror story you can get because like there's no like I mean like there's politics to everything, but like it's one of the least
It was just a bloodbath, yeah.
yeah, just like stuff's happening and no one deserves it or doesn't deserve it. Like that's like out of the equation. No one's like earning it's not even like, oh, you're so foolish that you tried to kill death. Like there it's not
Yeah,
even like moralizing in that way. It's just like, girl,
it's
this
not.
is about to happen. Get ready, buckle up.
Yeah, it's not a fable, and I loved how, no spoilers, but I loved how it ended, and
Oh,
I loved like the just it was what it needed to be.
I love that it's so people were just like I was reading reviews of it and people were like it's so um mean-spirited and I don't find it mean-spirited at all. Like I find it like
I,
absence of spirit. Like
yeah, it's just a good time.
yeah, it's like it's just about to happen. It's like saying that like gravity is mean-spirited. Like it's just like a force.
Death is not mean spirited. It's just what happens.
It's just how it has to happen.
Yeah.
But the end of the opening with the piano on
Oh
the
yeah. Yeah. It was like cheering in the theater, and I was like, it's been a while since I've seen a crowd this happy.
yeah, yeah. We thought we weren't allowed to do that, but everything's fair game now.
Yeah, and I like that it had like practical effects. And
I I loved the practical effects, like the MRI thing.
yeah, I don't know if you
Beautiful.
caught it. Like, well, I don't know how much I should say. Like that scene with the MRI. It
Yeah.
was like a callback to one of the posters. Because the dude has like a skull tattoo on his stomach. I won't say more than that, but
I don't think I've seen the poster then.
I'll show you a picture, but it was pretty cool. Like they have like cute little Easter eggs and stuff.
Leanne's probably seen Final Destination, if I were to guess. Either has seen it or isn't going to see it. I don't.
Bloodlines.
I don't. Otherwise, I think we can just spoil it.
Oh. Yeah, whatever. So like, you know, when the things burst through his abdomen, like it looks like the poster for Final Destination 4, I think.
Four is the
The
not the
really
bridge, not the bridge one. What is four? It's the
I couldn't even tell you. The bridge one is 5, isn't it?
four is race car, and bridge is 5.
Yeah. 5
Four
is
was
really good.
horrible. That
It
was
was,
like such
yeah.
that was a rotten movie.
Well, I don't think I've seen the third. The
The
is
third
that
one's the best one.
the
The
roller
roller
coaster?
coaster.
I haven't seen that.
That's the best one. I think
Really?
it's like, for me, I think it's like 3 and then whatever this one was called, Bloodlines or
Yeah.
whatever is that what it's called? Bloodlines?
Yeah.
And then 5, 1, 2, 4.
Mm.
You've seen 5 though, haven't you?
Yeah, no, I love that one.
The ending gagged me so hard. The way that I did not see that coming was crazy.
That was another one I saw in theaters. I think it was in 3D, wasn't it?
I don't know. I didn't see it in theaters. I only watched it last year. I only
Oh,
watched 4 and 5 for the first time last year, and I'd never had it spoiled or anything. And if I'd seen that in the theaters, I would have been crying, throwing up, pissing. Like we would have been.
yeah. No, like if I go watch a Final Destination movie, I'm expecting to be entertained, and surely
Three's
enough.
three's like the most entertaining one, I think.
Okay, I think I know what I'm gonna watch this weekend.
I mean, I haven't seen it since like high school, but I watched it like 5,000 times in high school, and I see people still saying it's good, so I think it is. It also has like musical cues in it that I think are that they could do more, like having like a song repeat and having like that like foreboding sign of death coming. Like I don't think that there was really like a sign of death coming in this one.
Well, there was the whole Penny thing, maybe.
Oh yeah. Penny was kind of.
I mean, it was just here and there, but
Oh my gosh, and Tony Todd was so good. I loved seeing him.
it's one scene.
Yeah. But it was like I think it was like his last scene ever.
Yeah, no, I was it was pretty
It
I
was
was happy
moving.
to see him one last time. Yeah.
He's been in some real stinker movies too, so I'm glad that it was like that he got to end it on, you
on,
know,
a, on a high note.
on
Yeah.
yeah, kind of on a high note, but also on like something that's like it does feel like retrospective in a way. Like it was like a scene for the end of a life, kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, I see what you mean. Um have you watched did you ever watch the Candyman, the new Candyman?
Yeah.
I didn't. But judging by your face, I didn't miss out on
I didn't like it. There was like some cool like shadow puppet stuff, but again, it was like of the A24 like overly
Oh.
literal. Like Candyman was like messy, and trying to unmessy Candyman I think is a mistake.
Hmm.
You know how it's like low-key problematic?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you can't unring that bell.
I see. Okay. Well, I'm glad I didn't watch it
I was
then.
probably too I was probably overly critical of it because it was Candyman.
Yeah, a beloved icon.
Like just like I remember the CGI being like not good looking, and that was kind of like depressing, you know.
The other we're talking about movies now, but somebody told me that the first Omen was also really good. There was like a
Oh,
new,
I thought you yeah, I thought you were referring to the original The Omen film, but you're saying the first Omen.
like the
Ye
newest one.
I tried to go see the first Omen, and I would say 75% of the time that we go see a movie here, we're the only people in the movie theater. Like,
Mm. Oh, cool.
we we tried to go, like, towards, like, the end of a run at, like, a weird time, and, like, we can usually be the only people in the movie theater, which is a slay. Um, the first Omen, however, it was, like, only, like, one other couple, and then these, like, brothers at the back that were, like, teenage boys,
Oh,
and they were, like, playing porn on their phone
what the
during
fuck?
it. They were just and, like, just screaming, like, they're just, like,
Scream.
being, like there's a different breed of male behavior in Australia, white male behavior, that's, like, just, like, being antisocial. Like, they're not
Oh,
being violent, they're just being very antisocial, and I hate it. I hate it so much. I think it's because they don't think that there's ever gonna be, like, repercussions for anything, like, no one's gonna be like, "You're so annoying, I'm going to shoot you with the gun that I have on me." Like, there's no fear in the air, so they can just,
right.
like, do whatever.
Holy shit. That sounds
Anyway,
horrifying. Yeah.
so we left. We usually like I never complain about people, but I was like, I can't watch this movie with this happening. So like we're gonna leave and we have to tell them so we can like try to get a refund or whatever. But anyway, we ended up going to see a different film that was just starting, which was Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2. So that's why I got to see that in theaters.
How was
And I
that?
never saw the first Omen. Honestly, it was surprisingly competent. Like it was a film.
A
It was a
film.
complete film. Yeah, there was, like, a plot, the acting was good, some of the character design, not my favorite, like, why didn't Tigger bounce? Like, what's the point of putting Tigger in a movie, and does Disney own him bouncing? Like, I don't understand.
He didn't bounce?
No. He didn't look that different from Winnie or Pooh, I don't know which I feel like they call him Pooh whenever they call him by one name, but it seems like his first name would be Winnie.
Winnie, yeah. You know, like when I was a kid, I thought Winnie the Pooh was a girl.
Okay. And
Well, I don't know. I felt cheated.
and then you learned about gender policing.
Yeah, then I learned that you're not supposed to think things like that.
You thought her little crop top was signaling?
I thought it was a moment. Well, also Winnie kind of sounds. I don't know. I thought it was a girl's name.
Oh my gosh, you know what I just learned is that Piglet is wearing a sweater and that it's not like a roly-poly bug shell on
It's not a weird armadillo body.
Yeah. It's supposed to be like a sweater.
What? This. I don't like all this revisionism.
Anyway, so I still haven't seen the first Omen. Were you gonna say anything about that?
No, well,
Were you gonna speak on that?
I've just heard that it's really good, and I haven't had a chance. But this is like the first time, like Final Destination Bloodlines is my first time going to the movies to see a horror movie in like probably a year. So
Mm.
I'm riding that high, and I'm like, now I want to see all the horror movies that I've missed.
I love just imagining Piglet as like a half bug. We all thought it, and we are just like, live your life.
I just thought that was his body, and I was like, who am I to judge?
Wait, is Piglet a boy? I
See, at first you were like,
but
how
I was not thinking they could all be agender in my mind. I wasn't so caught up in that and like making sure I knew. I see why you were.
you weren't policing, yeah.
Yeah.
Piglet, I actually don't know. Could be.
The fact that it's called Piglet suggests that there's just a pig in the world, but okay.
I think it's just Kanga. Oh, the kangaroo.
Yeah,
Is
there's
her baby
Kinga
called
and
Rue?
Rue. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's cunt.
Now, why was there only one girl? What was going on?
And she had
Because,
to be a mother, of course.
well, yeah, and she was providing emotional labor for Christopher Robin's hallucinations.
Yeah. Um, I I remember my. Never mind. No, like the one toy I had when I was a kid was like a Winnie the Pooh plushie.
Oh, I had one too.
Yeah, and I remember like I vividly remember the day that it tore, and I was like devastated. But then like SpongeBob started coming out, and then I was like, okay, I don't care about Winnie the Pooh anymore. And then I
SpongeBob
became
came out. Yeah.
came out came out as non-binary. Well, isn't there an episode where wasn't there like a controversy because there's an episode where SpongeBob and Patrick have a baby and people were like, "How dare you show gay stuff?"
I think that might have been a fan fiction you were watching.
That I was reading.
I think that
No,
was the TikTok that you watched last week.
no, I swear they have like a little baby clam. And then like
Aw.
SpongeBob's the mom, and people were like freaking out. They were like, "How do I explain this to
Y'all both watch the same TikTok. That is crazy.
the same fan edit?"
Hi, Elise. Elise was my raid leader in World of Warcraft.
Oh, purr. Okay, see, I'm not crazy.
Okay, so 3 of y'all have watched the same TikTok. That is very exciting. It must be trending. It must be going viral. Did you want to do another reading sprint or?
um, it's getting kind of late out here.
That's okay. I've been live for 2.5 hours, so it's probably time to.
But I was happy to see all the familiar faces.
Me too. It was so nice to chat, and it was nice to see your face.
There you go. What does that mean? Money?
What do
You
you?
want?
This is like the Korean heart, the K-pop, heart gesture.
Oh,
See, it's making like a little heart.
oh. Does that mean like love?
Yeah, it's like a
Oh, okay.
purr.
Purr. I love learning. I love knowing what all the kids are doing nowadays.
You can't just call Korea the kids.
The Korean kids.
We are so close to Pride Month. What are we doing for Pride Month?
I'm gonna post about gay books like I always do.
You're gonna repost your old post about gay books like you always do.
I'm gonna be like, I know y'all still haven't read them. I was actually reading a gay book. Well, I was reading Hog. I guess technically that's a gay book.
Let's not advertise that as being the Pride Month read of the year.
For Pride Month, I'm reviewing Hog. There we go.
Hi, Amelia. Okay, now this is the sleigh. I think that everyone, I mean, I don't think you should get a girlfriend for Pride Month, but I think it would work for a lot of people.
No, I should get a boyfriend. I wonder if there's gay people that are like, I need a boyfriend just for Pride Month.
Yeah.
Oh.
Her.
They got her. She's been silenced.
Wait, do you remember that episode of what? For protecting?
SpongeBob. Oh.
I don't know. Um, that episode of Freakazoid. Did you watch Freakazoid?
No. Wait, is that the blue guy?
Oh, yeah, Freakazoid's like blue. He's like a superhero.
Yeah.
There's like an episode that was very instrumental to me called it was like about Candlejack, and it was like this urban legend where if you ever talked about Candlejack, then he always like got you in the same sentence that you like mentioned him in. So it was like a very like rapid fire like Candyman kind of thing.
Oh. I might remember that. I don't know.
It sounds like you don't.
Yeah.
Let's be real, you don't.
I don't. Pride Month.
Oh, yeah. Maybe they'll reissue it in like a rainbow color scheme or something.
Oh my god.
Okay, Pride Month kind of has like a different vibe this year.
Yeah, like
Like we were like, no more rainbow capitalism, and then they were like, okay, well, we also now we just want to kill you. Like we're not gonna we're not gonna have ugly rainbow stuff in the stores, and also you have
no,
no
like
rights.
I was reading about like all these big companies pulling out of like pride parades in like New York City and stuff. Like it's gonna be very much like take a break.
Yeah, like go to a protest or something. Do some
Which is what pride was supposed to be in the first place.
yeah. Well,
Read some books. Yeah.
make some friends.
Make some friends.
Start a community garden.
If you're in danger, protect your peace.
Yeah.
Oh, a community garden, that'd be cunt.
Yeah. It's revolutionary. People are gonna wake up to that. For Pride Month.
For Pride Month, yeah, exactly. And then after Pride Month, all the vegetables are gonna rot.
Yeah. Well, are we calling it?
Calling it a night. Yeah. There's some stuff I need to do before I go to bed.
Okay.
But thank you for having me.
Thank you for it was like such a nice surprise. Like I probably would have just like ended the stream if
Yeah,
I've never had to do this on my own before, so
I barely just saw your Instagram story and I tuned in and there was the other guy, but I'm glad I
that's Trevor. That's the host of the podcast.
Oh. Well, I'd never seen him, like, his face.
No, because he's not on YouTube at all. We just do the podcast, and whenever we've done reading sprints before, we've done them on Twitch, on his Twitch. But I don't think Twitch is ready for reading sprints yet.
One day.
Yeah, one day they'll read. Well, we'll leave it at that. Thank you everyone for coming and chatting. This was so nice to talk to people, and yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all. Love you. Oh.
Bye. Oh. Bye.
Bye.